Christian Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Your Next Leap of Faith: How to Hear God's Voice and Boldly Follow, by Shane Winnings. Narrated by Lyle Blaker. 1. Being willing to face the truth. I grew up in church for 25 years, volunteering, attending youth services and camps, and even spending 7 years on the worship team at a megachurch. By the time I was 11 years old, I was a 2-time state champion for Bible memorization with the Awana program. I had been baptized, professed my faith publicly, and even stood up to atheists making fun of Jesus on social media. All my friends were from church. I sometimes listened to worship music in the car, played a sermon from a favorite speaker, or even listened to Christian podcasts. Most of my friends knew that I was a Christian, as I didn't hide it. When I remembered, I even prayed before most of my meals and prayed before bed each night. Even with all this, on January 23, 2016, God said the following words that cut me to the core and changed my life forever. Shane, you've never lived for me one day in your life. God. How does one get to this point? How does someone who spent a quarter of a century in the house of God receive a rebuke like this? Is it possible to spend your whole life within the walls of a church but have never actually lived for God? When faced with this kind of confrontation from the Almighty, you are forced to take one of two routes. First, you can challenge God, justify your life based on your human wisdom and ability, and insist that He is wrong. You can pull out your Christian resume and begin to argue each point like a defense lawyer in a courtroom attempting to undermine the prosecution's case. Point by point, you can remind God of the years of faithfulness and service you have provided to Him and His house, the church. You can vehemently request that He check again, because from your view, based on your knowledge and wisdom, He must have missed something. Second, despite this interruption, you can examine your life through this new perspective and try to see how it is possible that God is right and that you are wrong. Given this newfound ability to see your life in retrospect based on God's opinion, you can humble yourself, confess you are wrong, and to make a conscious effort to turn away from that life and walk into the new one God is calling you to. You can let the Bible take authority over your life and submit to the verse, "Let God be true, but every man a liar." Romans chapter 3, verse 4. Let me elaborate. In 2021, I read Matthew chapter 7. Where Jesus talks about the narrow path and the wide road of destruction. Jesus is explaining that many are on the wide road, and few will find the narrow path that leads through the narrow gate of life. He then goes on to say, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, 'Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name?' And then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness.'" Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. When I read this, I saw something I'd never seen before. In verse 22, the people are presenting a rebuttal to the Lord. A rebuttal, of all things. Imagine standing before the Lord, perfect and all-knowing, sitting on His throne and challenging His decision. I had read this passage many times, but this time in particular, verse 22 hit home to me. They respond to His decision with, "Didn't we do this and this and this in your name?" By this time, the Lord has already given His verdict, and these people have been found guilty. The interaction picks up in verse 22, where we learn their response to His decision, and clearly they do not agree. That is the first problem, a lack of humility. Again, let God be true and every man a liar. The reality is that on that day, nothing said in the presence of God will hold more weight than what He has spoken. Now, why am I getting into all this? It seems kind of heavy, especially for the opening chapter of a book about faith. The reality is, the weight of this moment, this eternal perspective of standing before the Lord, hit me in January 2016. When God spoke to me and said that I'd never lived for Him one day of my entire life, I felt as if I were already standing before Him.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?